Back-to-back champs, man. Feels great. Dream job.
You smell that?
Oh, dude.
Championship celebration ruined.
You better fix that.
I called 6-8 flush. We need Cellino plumbing.
Champions use their tools wisely. Quick wrist action like scoring that game-winning goal.
Maybe plumbing is our dream job.
Only on Team Cellino.
Start with the pros first. Cellino Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Always championship ready.
The championship celebration ruin gets me every time, folks. The celebration is not ruined here on the Banditos Pod, your number one podcast for all thing Bandits. And that's said with all due respect to our boys at Bandit Boulevard. This is Banditos Pod, sponsored by Cellino Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. You just saw it there. Listen, we know when a team is championship caliber, and we know when they're not. Use the championship caliber team and our experts at Cellino Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling for anything you might need around your home. Gatesy, starting at home, starting strong, making sure everything's going on. The Bandits picked right up where they left off on banner night.
They did. I was a little worried going into game one, just with some of the players missing from the previous year, but we're going to get into it later in the show. But, you know, Josh and Dane are Josh and Dane. The new addition stepped right up in Bandit Land. There's no place like it, Maniac. I know you were there. You saw the banner go up, and it just seemed like an incredible night right from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can smash talk, like trash talk, all you want about, you know, the NLL being a lesser league than the more major four sports. I don't know, my wires are crossed right now, but there's nothing like a banner night, and there's nothing like a back-to-back-to-back banner night. It was special. They were able to incorporate some very special moments with some people close to the team, and Gatesy, it reminded me, we were looking at our Sabres throwbacks yesterday, and I saw my girl, Miss Verna Wojcik, got recognized by the organization, the first employee. That's what it reminded me of, this banner night, was seeing a recognition of your efforts and seeing like an appreciation for this team. Something that, even though it exists on a smaller level with those two other Buffalo teams, it exists in flying colors with these Banditos.
Yeah, the support the Bandits have, and the fan base that the Bandits have in Banditland is really nothing like it. You can go to every different sporting event in the world, in the country. There's something just special about Bandits fans. And yeah, that atmosphere for the banner raising looked incredible, and it seemed like a good show to be at, Maniac. It between the goals and just, you know, we had beach balls, everything was going on. Can't ask for much more for game one.
Yeah, the Banditos get off to a relatively strong start. You know, it was pretty even there throughout the early going into the late second quarter of it all, even at halftime. I think it was, you know, first off, there was a lot of scoring early. Early, it was looking like it could be like a 20-19 game. So no NLL fan is going to argue with that. Listen, we're Matt Vink supporters through and through. We know he can always step it up whenever called upon, but there were a lot of goals early in that game, which is always exciting. Then things kind of slowed down for a little bit, and that was what ultimately led. I know we're jumping around here on the rundown. Obviously, you saw great things from all these guys, but the goalie penalty, you know, towards the middle of the game, obviously a raucous, like that's a moment meant for Banditland. I'm sorry to say, I never want to see, you know, McKay take a stick to the neck. I never want to see any player get, you know, fouled upon in this sport, but that was a moment where you're like, Banditland is just cut different, whether it was just telling the goalie he sucked or just the overall raucousness throughout the penalty. BOX to the box, woo. And then it got even weirder from there. It got even weirder from there.
Yeah, everything about that night was just so weird. We'll get to the goalie stuff, you know, Josh and Dane. DeSnoo, a great addition for the Bandits. I mean, I was shocked with, you know, I talked about a little earlier of, you know, you saw key pieces of the Bandits championship team last year, you know, leaving at Frazier, gone, Kluch, guys who were scoring big goals, chipping in here and there. I was kind of worried what that would look like. But yeah, the new additions showed up. DeSnoo had, you know, an incredible game with some blocks. He had a pass, so I think it was Dane Smith who scored. I think it was his hat trick, or it was Byrne. Yeah. Yes. And you're muted right now, but I'm reading your lips.
Yeah, sorry. Oh my God, I'm popping the stream popcorn. With that said, yeah, Josh Burns' first goal of the season, I believe it was, and yeah, it was the spin move out of the end of the, it was everything you're looking for. And so, yeah, you said it at the top of the show, Gatesy. You don't replace a Chase Frazier. You don't replace, a Chris Cloutier. Like, you just don't. Like, those are great role players who can be stars on their own team for certain. But the thing is, the Bandits have their own stars. The Banditos have their sheriffs in the building. And when you get a guy back like Desnu who can add that, it's about those defensive grinders, because Matt Vink's going to get done. Josh and Dane are inevitable, and Johnny T is going to draft it up. When you get those defensive grinders who can make a difference, that's when this Bandits team becomes unstoppable.
Yeah, and we saw that 100% from game one. And yeah, speaking of Josh and Dane, there was always, conversation of what this team's going to look like without the secondary scoring. These guys have been in the league for so long and been so dominant. There's always going to be questions. Are they going to be, top guys in the league continued? And they put that to rest right off the get-go. Game one, Dane Smith, 4 goals. Josh Byrne had 2. I think Dane had 8 points. It was just truly a masterclass from the Bandits' top guys. I know we get to, be around Josh and Dane with the stuff that they do with Cellino around the office, but, they are truly professionals on and off the field. And it's crazy to see the success they're still having at this point in their careers, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of take it for granted with some other athletes, but Josh and Dane, I mean, they live professional lacrosse 24/7, 365 in their life. When there's a respite from that, it's only to rest and basically gear up for the next campaign. So it's very encouraging to see. Like, I can't tell you, like, listen, I'm a Josh Byrne guy, I'm a Dane Smith guy, but I think I'm pretty unbiased when I say, like, Josh Byrne was taking a lot of physical shots to the upper body last year. And I think that really wore on him as the season was going. I think it's undeniable that it's a very physical sport with a lot of physical exertion. So it's great, like you said, to see these guys. This is what you're getting on a full reload. Like the 22 and the 92 of it are pretty unstoppable. And that, like, just like a number 1 wide receiver, it's like the Banditos have 2 essentially. It only opens it up for other aspects of the offense. So it was great to see there. As we pick back up at the goalie penalties, because we got some early goals from Daner, we got Josh on the board. So we get the goalie penalty, and this place wants blood. This place wants, like, everything. Of course, the Banditos turn a major penalty into 0 goals, which is very difficult to achieve in the National Lacrosse League, to be on a power play for 5 minutes and not score. Just calling it like I see it. With that said, then comes kind of a ball doesn't lie moment with the replacement goaltender, who we're now learning, like, wasn't supposed to be in Gatesy. NLL is, like, going back on this kind of moment.
Yeah, the press release put out, when I saw the post, like, this can't be real. Like, this has to just be like someone, like, fan page making a joke. But no, like, I don't know how you can have a play like that happen and then, go back on, like, this actually, like, this is a rather major thing in the game of having to put your backup goalie in for 5 minutes and go from there. But the video of Nanico clapping in the backup goalie's face, like that, I want to say that's already the moment of the year through week 1, but that's going to be really hard to top. And I can't imagine the atmosphere in Banditland when they showed that on the Jumbotron or when you saw it live.
Oh, it was outstanding. Yeah, you didn't really notice the clapping because it was like, so like, oh, mistake for that. Oh, yeah, we score. Yeah. Like after 5 minutes, there was kind of the craziness of it all. The funny thing about the Deoga, like, celebration of it all to me is that it looked like he clapped in his face, but, like, didn't give a shit about him. Like, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't like trying to do it to show him up. He's just like, oh, like, you're an idiot. Like he was kind of on. That's what made it, like, it was a totally apathetic, like, clapping in the face. And yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, in the no fun league, in the no horseplay league, you're probably getting some kind of 15-yard penalty for that. That's the NLL difference. And by the way, Ian McKay and the goalie at the end of the game. We're not done with the game yet, but I mentioned this when we were talking during the week. I was like, is there going to be something in the line when they're shaking hands? Is something going to happen? No, sportsmanship prevailed there. It was just a kind, like, good game, and then they moved on. So good to see there. But yeah, Gatesy, I mean, again, they didn't really benefit massively from the 5-minute major penalty, but this seemed like maybe it was kind of like the smelling salts, similar to an angry Josh situation we saw on Sunday.
Yeah, I do think with this Bandits team we've seen, especially in years prior, like they have the skill, they have the talent. Sometimes you just need that little spark to get you going, and play like that will definitely do it. And from
for the
that
last
point on,
2 to 3 years, every team has been like, "Oh, I'm playing the Buffalo Bandits.
Yes.
I've got to bring my number one game. I'm bringing my A game, right?" It's tough for the Banditos to do that. Just truthfully, that's the nature of sports. You can say, "Yeah, these guys are getting paid. This is their life. This is the only thing that goes on." There's monotony to anything. You know what I mean? Where if you get in the monotony of this, you can slip up. And yeah, there's windows like that where it's going to happen to any human. It really speaks more to me as a compliment to the Banditos guys that they've been able to maintain that focus this long.
Yeah, it blows my mind. I was expecting this game one to go poorly for the Bandits, just all things considered. You're coming off a three-peat, you're losing pieces. And the fact that, all three facets of their game were at the level they were at is really encouraging news for me that, this Bandits team is not going to be a shell of itself after, all the Bandits rules that went into effect by the NLL this offseason, from the hard cap to, you can't have guys like block shots. Like, the Bandits would just build a wall with Paul Dawson and others.
I mean, like the band, I mean, like when you have the championship, you're always willing to lay anything on the line. I get it. The San Diego Seals, maybe you're not as into it, but whatever.
Yeah. And even the Bandits bringing back these older players who, I thought after the three-peat, that was it for Matt Vince, for Paul Dawson, for, a lot of these guys have been in the league forever. But somehow, some way, the idea of a four-peat for something like that brings them right back in.
I hate to say it, but as long as they win championships, I mean, I don't see any of those guys retiring. This sounds crazy. Because it was already like, oh, is Vince going to come back like this year? Like, are you telling me that one of these guys is like going to get off the train when everyone else is staying on? So this is a championship train, plain and simple. And I think before, we look into the odds and it's four-peat or bust or everything like that. I mean, I think they indicate that as well. So, yeah, it was a very good, it seems like it's going to be a balanced attack for the Banditos this year. Hopefully you'll continue to get more from Scanlon. You'll continue to build out there, but long season ahead, but just a very encouraging banner night to seemingly pick up where we left off, Gatesy.
Yeah. And just to wrap up from that game, the clip of when the goalie's in the box of like that goal happening, you have Nanico clapping in the goalie's face, and they just pan to the goalie sitting in the box, just staring forward it feels like it's out of like a LOL Buffalo sketch, just the craziness of that. So yeah, you can't ask for much more from a game one of, moments, excitement. And yeah, so now the quest for the 4-peat is officially on, Maniac.
The quest for the 4-peat is on. Real quick, you're going to need a team to get to a 4-peat, and you're going to need a team if anything goes wrong with your home. Make sure you're insisting on Cellino Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling for your home services. 6-8 flush. Again, championship caliber service from expert techs at the top customer service level. 6-8 flush, our friends at Cellino Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 4-peat or bust, Gatesy. Whew. I mean, yeah, it's like, you hate to say it because like you should be able to find happiness without winning a championship. Like we're fans of the Sabres. Like we know we could clearly do that in that way, but we're also fans of the Bills. And you look at like the Bills fan base right now, like would they be happy with anything but a Super Bowl? No. So the Super Bowl is the NLL title is both the ceiling and the floor for this Bandits team. I mean, as crazy as that is to say, Gatesy, it's not going to get any there's nothing else this team can do besides win championships to satiate this not, I wouldn't say hungry Banditos fan base, but it's like when you're getting fed like a luxury meal from a source and you just keep getting fed that luxury meal. I mean, you start to grow used to it, right?
100%. And especially when you have these guys coming back at the ages that they are, it's how could you not say it's not championship or bust when the greatest goalie of all time decides to come back at age 70, basically, to do another year to go for a 4-peat. He's not coming back to try to make the playoffs to do that. They're trying to make history. So it's hard to, as a Buffalo sports fan to, think championship or bust, but you look at this Bandits team, you look at the window that they have, they're going all in right now to do that. You know, you traded a third for Desnu. You're trying to get guys in to keep this window open as long as you can to get the most out of the prime of Josh Byrne and Dane Smith.
You hit the nail on the head there for sure. I mean, again, so when we talk four beat or bust, to me, it's literally, you've got the power of four. It is as long as Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, Matt Vince, and John Tavares are at the helm of this team, it's championship or bust every single season. You've got two of the top five offensive players. There's no debate in the league there. I mean, some would say you have 1A and 1B, and then you have the top goaltender. And in this league, that should be enough every year for yourself to be the favorite. Now, do you hold yourself to that when you haven't won a title? No, but when you've won 3 in a row, it certainly becomes the expectation. It certainly becomes what's on the menu for fans. And speaking of the menu for fans, Gatesy, it looks like we got a little dinner break here in between meals, in between game 1 and 2.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting transported back to last season where we're 3 months into the season and played like 2 games. We have a great banner raising night. Now we have a bye. Bandits are back at home on the 13th, I believe, against Halifax. So, another week, another wait, but I think it's a good thing.
It's not completely overwhelming, but yeah, for the second year in a row, they're going to get a ton of early breaks, and then they're going to have to run the gauntlet where they'll have a game and then they'll have 2 games the following weekend. So there's definitely going to be a lot to go through. Last year, they locked it down defensively. That was their method of doing it. They weren't beating teams 18-15. They were beating them 10-9. They were in OT at 11-11. Make a wish. But with that said, yeah, again, they're gonna have to what's their identity for winning this year? Is it you try and jump on them everybody every time, and then you just get the lead and you hope Vince can lock it down? That makes sense to me. But again, maybe Desnu makes it so you play a conservative overall game where you just try not to allow anything in transition. You try not to allow those 2-on-1s, those occasional breakaways. And if you can sit kind of like how they've turned Josh Allen in, the offense earlier this year, where you make it mistake free. So it's very interesting to see what they're going to do, Gatesy. But the one benefit of this early break is that they get a week to kind of look at it and see what worked and what didn't, and retool before game 2, something a lot of teams won't be able to do.
100% they can do that. I do get worried as the season goes on. You have an older team and guys who were banged up last season, and they somehow pulled together. We saw Josh Byrne on 1 foot throughout the playoffs, coming in and doing what he can. So, hopefully these rests in the beginning can kind of keep them somewhat healthy in that gauntlet at the end. It's just kind of surviving through there and getting the postseason. And
last year, if I recall, they started I want to say 4-0, 5-0 when they had this early stretch with the breaks. Then they kind of went 500 the rest of the way. And that might be what we have to do again. You might have to just take advantage of that early schedule. There's every league, every sport has different schedules. Things we're seeing it with the Patriots right now, where they have an all-time easier schedule, but they're taking care of it. So that's exactly what the Banditos have to do, be championship caliber and take care of these early schedule breaks. And then, once they get to the grind, maybe it is closer to 500, gets you what you need to do. It definitely did last year as far as the seeding and everything. So, the bottom line is these guys have worked together now for some of them for 5 years and some of them for almost a decade. So compared with a lot of relationships around the league of knowing where guys are going to be, having trust in one another, continuity, that one of the biggest things in sports, we always use the C word there, continuity. It means a lot for sure. So that's my only thing is the game 2 is that this is a dangerous team, but yes, will be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I think last year too was the game in Saskatchewan, the low-scoring game. We had the watch party for that, and it's the Bandits were trying to survive to that game and then just coast from there on out.
And did we beat Saskatchewan in that game?
Yes, it was 6-5, I think, top of my head. But it was very low scoring,
and we ended up needing that game in the playoffs where we didn't score in the second half. So again, you're gonna go through trials and tribulations that are gonna be exactly what you eventually get into in the playoffs. And I think the Banditos being ready for that is obviously a massive part. Final thoughts here on the Banditos pod, brought to you by Cellino Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Gatesy, what are you thinking heading into this bye 1 weekend?
just enjoying it little by little. And, my thing this season for the Bandits is just trying to enjoy every single moment. I think watching the Bills and the Sabres, it's very easy to get frustrated all the time, but we are living through probably one of the greatest dynasties in NLL history. We're watching Josh Byrne. We're watching Dane Smith, every other week now with all these buys, but we're watching, some of the best to ever do it in the sport. And I'm trying to enjoy that. I want to see this Bandits team continue their good play. Week 1 was a huge thing, at least for me, to see that, just because they lost Frazier, they lost Kluch, they lost these players who were kind of key to getting them to that three-peat.
Matt, listen, you could say whoever you want, the Vince, the Danes, and the Burn. Those guys were just as important last year for sure for the three-peat.
Especially for us, because, Frazier was scoring a highlight reel goal every single night.
Sicko.
It was paying my electric bill with how well those goals were doing. But, it's definitely a miss seeing them. But, they'll be back in Buffalo in like a month. So that'll be an exciting game. But this Bandits team, just trying to enjoy it and trying to get to Banditland whenever I can.
And just remember, it's very overwhelming. It's the same thing in the NFL. It's less so in the NHL with more games, but I think it's the one game a week thing kind of happens. It's a long season. You cannot win a November championship. You can't win a December. You can't win January, February. You can only win it once we get on that run in April, May, and June. So long season ahead, but Gatesy, I think we're both more than happy to be back in the saddle.
That we are. And it's going to be an exciting season ahead. And enjoy this weekend off, catch some of the other games, and be ready to bring it on Banditland on the 13th.
Also, real quick shout out to the event workers at the arena and people who put in the in-arena entertainment behind the scenes planning. Banditland literally right there, picked up right where they left off. So super exciting to see. Yeah,
quick thing too. I remember you saying earlier in the week, the chants were kind of all over the place in Banditland.
So this wasn't me saying this. I sent this into the chat. It was funny. Like Banditland was saying in real time, like somebody posted on the Bandit group at halftime of game 1. He's like, whoever is saying like the BOX to the you suck chant at the goalies.
Yes,
you're going too soon after the players score. It was just like, it showed why Banditland is just a cut above that. Like they've got this level of communication. Like we got to funnel this up to whoever's in like section 120, and they made the in-game adjustment. Shout out them. So I'd love to see it.
Yeah, can't ask for much more, and so makes Banditland special.
Seriously, it is very special, and hopefully another special year ahead. But it's been an awesome time getting back together with you folks on this episode of the Banditos Pod. Again, sponsored by Cellino Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Make sure you use their team whenever you need help off the field. With that said, Gatesy, huge back in the saddle. I'm telling you, it's great.
It's good to be back.
To be here.
You can't ask for much more. And we'll every Friday around 3:00. Get these going pregame.
Little weekend check-in for our Banditos. Yeah. Just what we need, folks. Just a little something to send you into the weekend. And Gatesy, I think it's 3 words. Let's